Yes, hello everyone. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to Newcastle Fans TV. I feel it's a must-watch video for any Newcastle fan who have not seen the article or only seen snippets. We've got the full article to break down for you today in what is a very exciting time for Newcastle United fans, and this is the first time I feel genuinely that Amanda Staveley and Mirdad Guddusi have spoken so openly about transfers, NUFC women, their plans for the stadium, training ground, and what have you. We're going to break that down today. But please join in. We are live. I'm not at the Brentford game. It's the only game that I'm missing this season. So you've got me on the watch along a little bit later. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating. We're going to break it down. And if you want to see the article a little bit more in full, it is on The Athletic. They have a fantastic trial. But luckily, you guys have got me to break it down for you, so you can and start it just for £1 a month if you want to see the full article. And it's a brilliant piece by George Culkin, who we've had on the channel once or twice. But have a look at The Athletic if you want to know more about that. But yeah, we've got a lot of breakdown. Well, we have a lot to break down. So refreshing. These owner says Majestic Pillow as well. The link in the interview is actually in the description, Ishak, as well. So you can have a look at that. But we're going to break that down as well. And we're going to come back to your comments and see what you feel about it as well. It's very exciting. I'm very excited by it. What we'll do is we'll get our sponsor who want to have their say. Here it is. Sam, what are you doing?
I'm just checking through all my football apps just to get some of the latest news.
Well, you don't need to. You need the One Football app. The One Football app sponsors Newcastle Fans TV, and it has all of the latest breaking news, putting loads of articles together. Even Steve Bruce is on there when he's been announced as West Brom manager recently. It's all up to date. The best thing about the app, it pings when there's breaking news. You need it, Sam. Get downloading the One Football app. The link is in the description for that.
I'm downloading it now.
Yeah, so if you can download the One Football app, they do proudly sponsor Newcastle Fans TV. I'm just waiting for all the team news to come out. The ticker pushes you in apps and all sorts of lineups and what have you. So the link is in the description for the One Football app, who proudly sponsor us. So thank you very much for that. Right, let's try and break this down for you today then for you. So I'm going to go through some of the article, what has been said, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. We've got a lot to get through, and we'll start, and we haven't just literally done just a copy and paste job. What we've done is we've took some of the best bits from the article, and you can obviously see on the title, which we will come to, there is no plans for a stadium change at all. We're not having a new stadium. We'll come to that in a minute in the training ground. But we'll start at the top here, as you can see here. A couple of weeks ago, Amanda Staveley left Newcastle and travelled over to Man City, she says, just to talk to them and see their training facilities to see what we can do. I was thinking, God, I can't wait for our guys to get their trophies. I can't wait to deliver what the fans really deserve. And then that's ultimately what we want. My dad chips in and says, we want success. And Guddusi goes on to say that there's no reason why Newcastle in the next 5 years should not be a Manchester City, a Man United, a Liverpool, or a Chelsea. In some ways, it's too soon because we've still got so much to do. So they're already thinking of let's get Newcastle out of the relegation zone. We've got an aim for 4 or 5 years to go and compete against the big boys. Now, obviously, financial fair play will probably come into effect in the next couple of years. And that's the only good thing that Mike Ashley's done with this club, that he didn't spend much money, which allowed Newcastle to go a little bit daft in the January transfer market. We spent the most in Europe, and then this summer you expect Newcastle to go absolutely crackers on that. But if we go back to the article, I wanted to go to the next bit where they're talking about Eddie Howe, which is great. And it says here, I would love Eddie to be the next Alex Ferguson, Guddusi's gone on to say. And they've also gone on and talked about the CEO. Now, we all know that. We all think it's Dan Ashworth that's coming in. And his name has not been verbally agreed to be said in this article. It's kind of the war, they've gone around it, but there's so much stories happening that Dan Ashworth, of course, is on garden leave at Brighton. Everyone's pointing the finger towards Newcastle. They haven't actually said it's him, but they've said that they've had the most incredible candidate come forward for the CAA role, Staveley says. And the next one is the big one, which is the video title, On Moving Location. The answer was literally no. St. James's Park is here to stay. It'd be like tearing your soul out, says Gadusi. Now, there's some fans, not all fans, but there's some fans who would like to move away and start afresh. They see it as like it's investment, it's a new beginning. For me, I'm not one of them. I've always said this. It would be literally, as Mia has just said, it's ripping the heart and soul out of the fan base, the history, because we've been there since 1892 is the famous, well, if you want to be technical, 1881, because well, if you look at your history. But it's I like that. I don't want the history ripped out of the club. We go at the city centre. You come over whichever way you come through. You come out with a Redriff Bridge, or you coming over on the train, or you're coming from the back end of Newcastle, coming in down Barrack Road. You just see the stadium popping out left, right, centre. History for me, but there are plans. There are plans to increase that. Now, how will that be done? Because it is difficult at the minute with the listed buildings behind the East Stand. You know, we don't know what's going on with the St. James's Metro because there seems to be a delay. There's financial trouble putting the buildings up at the minute around where the St. James's Metro is. So maybe can they buy that plot of land back and extend the Gallagher and bring it out? And then you face, obviously, from the council, the RVI, can ambulances need that road to get through? So there's going to be a lot of problems to expand the stadium, of course, but there is plans that they want that to do. And Brandon's gone on to say, I don't like copying other stories. Newcastle should make their own story. I think they are. Amanda just went to Manchester City just to have a look and get some ideas, pinching ideas as well. And Majex gone on to say, I would hate a move from St. James's Park. Eddie Howe's totally transformed a number of players who were badly underperforming as well. Yeah, spot on, Chris. And Mike says, hopefully 3 points today as well. Home is where the heart is. Wasn't that a TV show? Home where the heart is. Home where the hammer is, or something like that. Mike said, me neither, Lee. Better where it is. St. James's Park, too much history to move. Right, we'll go back to the article once again. We'll keep going through some of the stories. And the next one was the big one, the new training ground. So he says that it's happening, but that will probably take 3 years, maybe a little bit more. We've all seen the jokes during the years of like the players in the swimming pool and in the bins, and you know it looks like a row of terrace houses, bungalows. Sorry, looks like a row of terrace bungalows, and the training ground. Everybody says it's equivalent of a championship, lower end championship side. But the facilities are there. It will take some time. It's going to be a new destination as well. It's not going to be at Whitley Park. Sorry, not Whitley Park. It's not going to be up. Well, it might not be at Benton. So they are looking for a totally new destination as well. Kieran Trippier was mentioned as well. Would he ever be sold? And Staveley's gone on to say that Kieran Trippier isn't someone we'll ever sell. Staveley says that the recent sign from Atletico Madrid, if he can play, he will stay. And this is interesting bit because this is the nitty gritty of who wanted to come to Newcastle and who didn't. So on other January transfer targets, such as Sven Botman and Jesse Lingard, wanted to come. And that's the key word that they're saying there, wanted to come to Tyneside. And Botman, the Lille defender, still does very much, says Amanda Staveley. So Botman wants to move to Newcastle and still does. Do not be surprised if that happens in the summer now, because it's come out and said that that's going to fuel speculation. Papers are going to have a field day about that. The big thing about Newcastle's women, and we cover Newcastle women. We've had Becky Langley on loads. We've had a few of the footballers on as well. Newcastle's women team will be paid as professionals, quoted as professionals, says Stevie. That's massive. That is absolutely massive, and I'm delighted for them all because a lot of them have full-time jobs. A lot of them are uni students. A lot of them are voluntary work as well, but when they work with the club, the coaching staff as well. And she says she wants them to play at St. James's Park this season. Again, it's something that we've echoed over at NFTV Extra so much. And she's gone out and said, we're currently looking at the sites. That'll probably take 3 years, maybe a little bit more, because we have to do designs, planning, and all those things. So we're reflecting back over to the training ground because the articles, it's in order, but it's some of it I've put in towards the middle, so it'll get a better understanding. And we want to develop an all-encompassing facility that includes the academy, the women's team, the first team, sports science, everything you see from one of the top 6 clubs. That's what helps drives the football. So she's mentioned, obviously, the the women's side of things that they want to improve there. They want to improve the whole thing. They want it to be a whole thing where they all come together, such as the women's, the under-23s, the under-18s, even further down the first team. It's all one base for the whole lot of them, which is what you want, a state-of-art facility where a 14-year-old can mix with Jamal Lascelles, the captain. It's all under one base. Obviously, they'll have different areas of the base, of course, but to get what I mean, where Brooke Cochrane will be mixing with Kieran Trippier, for example. It's all going to be one base. I'm delighted about that. It's fantastic news. They've got plans as well. Hello, John. I hope you're doing well. Ditch the kiddies padding pool and bring a state-of-art training facilities. Mike's gone to say, Lee, do you think Bruno will play today? I think it'll be sub. I am on the watch along at 2:30, so please do join us. Carl says, state-of-the-art training facilities and focus on youth teams should be the priority for now. And Howie the lads as well says, hoodwink, hip-hop, easy. That's a tough name to say, isn't it? But there's loads in this article. I can keep going on and on and on. About Alan Shearer statue. We had Shearer on. I asked Shearer about that question in mid-October, late October, when we had Shearer on. Shearer's statue will shortly be moved on a stadium ground close to Sir Bobby Robson, and the 9 bar will be turned back to Shearer's. So that 9 bar is going to be renamed back to Shearer's, and the statue is getting moved. Talked about that. Alan said he spoke back in October with the owners. He didn't really want to answer, should it be moved? We all know it should be moved. He's a legend. He's one of our own. He's a Geordie through and through. He's a record goal scorer. He's a captain. He's leader. He's England captain as well. Brilliant news. Absolutely brilliant. Moving on to some of the sponsors and stuff like that, and trying to get deals done. They've gone on to say they can work with the Premier League's new rules in associated party sponsorship, because there's been a lot of talk about Saudis can't have a sub-company sponsoring Newcastle. Well, wait a minute, because Leicester City do, some of the Manchester City do, they're sponsored by Etihad, and what have you. Qatar Airways, sorry. Etihad's the Arsenal, isn't it? But, you know, they've changed the rules because they didn't want Newcastle being a powerhouse. So, and they've gone on to say they'll vigorously defend legal action for Mike Ashley for allegedly breaching the terms of a £10 million loan he provided to help facilitate the club's £305 million sale. It's enough to be going on with, enough to make your brain hurt. On a warm weather training camp in Saudi Arabia last month, Stavely said that she didn't go to bed for 2 or 3 days. For 2 days, she says. His transfers back home were happening. They were 4 hours ahead in Saudi Arabia, so you've got to be up at 3:40 a.m. waiting to sign documents. So again, that's the drive that the owners have got, that they're sitting up 3-4 in the morning, twiddling their thumbs, waiting to see if a medical's gone through or that the paper's been signed. Do they need to sign it from there? And it's fantastic. It's brilliant. And Stavely's gone on, and she still thinks now, and I really like this. I like this a lot. She's still thinking of the feeling, have I done enough? Have we did enough? I'm still having nightmares. There was a lot of adrenaline in January, but fear too. The fear that gets you these things wrong. And then to lose Kieran and to get all of those injuries. And then my dad's gone on to say that we'll love Newcastle. It's our big extended family, but our poor little boy has been a football orphan, Stavely says. Did they get a chance to take a breath? Yes, I know, says my dad. It doesn't stop the emails, the calls, the Zooms. So they're even admitting that not so much the son's getting neglected, but he's getting, you know, Newcastle have got all this work that's happening left, right, and centre to get deals done over the line, worrying about the club. And I like that because they care. Yes, they've got millions and millions, they've got money coming in, but we didn't have this under Mike Ashley. We didn't have this one bit. And they've even said that one of their own kids is suffering because they're putting all the deals on the line, working. Where the son's got they're having time with the son, you know, well, whatever you do with your kids, you go to the pictures, you going out, or you do stuff with your kids, and then they've just got to stop what they're doing and then focus back to working on Newcastle United. So they could be out and about, having a family meal or out and about, and they've got to just stop what they're doing to get this player signed or do something or sign something. It shows you the mentality that the owners have got. It really, really does. I love it, mate. Absolutely love all of that. We'll go further down as well. Relegation hung and hangs over everything. It's the overarching issue, Stavely says. It's the number one priority, of course, is to stay up. Of course it is. And then they go on to talk about like the takeover. We spent 4 years pushing it to get it over the line, and the last 2 were very difficult, Mia Dead says. It was tough putting a consortium together that made sense. dealing with a seller who was notoriously difficult, aka Ashley, very quickly. There's the reality. We haven't won a match, and relegation is a huge concern. So that's when they're taking over and they're thinking, oh, blooming hell, we're going to take over here. And then we haven't even won a game yet. And then there was talk in the article about Bruce, Eddie Howe coming in and so on. He said that the timing, that there was no plan, Stabley says. They thought that we might have got the club in January or at the end of the season, which would have allowed us a few months to bring the right people in. So, of course, the takeover accelerated a little bit. That was what my dad says. But instead, we're confronted with a winless side and a manager in Bruce who ultimately needed to go. People were saying, why didn't you act quicker? But we had to take stock of everything and find out what the issues were. So if you remember when the takeover happened, there was a lot of speculation around Steve Bruce. Would he lose his job straight away? He didn't, because he still had another game. And then eventually it came. And then, we had Graham Jones in charge for 2-3 games. And then we had Eddie Howe. Blimey hell, now I forgot my own manager's name. We had Eddie Howe in charge as well. We'll just have a look at what you see in the comments as well. Brilliant for the women football team. They should get paid as well. Yeah, it's fantastic news. Love that. John's gone out to say, Lee, surely the chance of an extra 10 to 15,000 fans to 10 home games outweighs the sentiment attached to St. James's Park. Denying large numbers of passionate mags seems to be a bit unfair. I get your point. I do. So you want the stadium to be relocated. I don't. They've talked about expanding it. It will be very difficult at St. James's Park because they've got a few obstacles to get around. We know that, because you've got listed buildings. You've got work that's paused at the moment down by St. James's Metro. You've got the hospital. Can the ambulances get through for emergencies? So there's a lot to consider. I personally don't want that. I'd rather see at least the Gallagher extended. So yeah, Chris goes out to say, great news about the Shearer's statue and Shearer's bar. It's coming back. The history of the club must be celebrated. Johnny said it's a fantastic article. And why you're not at the game? This is the first game I'm missing, Harry. I'll be brutally honest. I don't have 100 and odd points because I had a season ticket for, how long have I had it now? About 6 years. And I had a 2-year gap. So my points dropped to 0 and I had to restart again. So I'm not far off. I'll be at every other game though. This is the one game I'm missing though. John says, ATR John's then obviously asked the question back about the attendances and so on. Take him pictures when he isn't boarding school, what a load of rubbish. Michael's gone out to say, I feel slightly bled behind my eyes, my brain, just hearing the name Mike Ashley. But yeah, this is great. This is all positive, man. Enjoy what they're saying, because it's not just what they're saying. I believe them as well. So I really do believe them. You can see we've still got quite a bit to get through. It's very, very detailed. So there's a link, as I say, in the description if you want to read the article in full. And as I say, we had to get the building blocks in place before we hit the transfer window, Stabley says. In my opinion, we weren't fit enough. And again, admitting it, that's what they weren't fit enough for it. They just hadn't had the intense training as well. They were disjointed, not working together. You had to get that sense of onus, of belonging, of being united. It's just, I guess, just talking about a bit of everything there, not just the transfer window. Bruce obviously went by mutual consent. We know that. So up to here, his contract was paid up, and this phrase has been thrown around a lot. But the reason we're in a process driven is because we want to make the right decisions, not knee-jerk decisions. And obviously that's because when Bruce left, he didn't leave straight away. That was by me. Our dad said that, and the wrong decisions could have been a disaster. And we have a long-term view. We were looking at a list of, say, 30 to 40 names to come in, and it narrowed it down in terms of our requirements, which were we needed somebody who could deliver a day, but can also understand the relegation battle, says Amanda Stavey. And then my dad said, we've got it down to 2 people. Eddie was one of them, and Unai Emery was the other. That's no big secret about that, because Emery turned around and said that he didn't want to come to Newcastle. So Unai had a track record of success, and maybe that made us move towards him a bit more. But I have to say, through the chairman, which is Al Rumayan, wanted Eddie Howe from day one. So that was the PIF's choice. We looked at one player. Now, this is interesting because I actually think they're talking about Lucadina here. We looked at one player in January and we were a bit unsure about him. We bid for him, but he joined another club. References came back that he was selfish. He's an incredible player, but not a team player. We wanted to make sure the chemistry is right. Now, for me, I think they're talking about Lucadina there because he did join Aston Villa, and we got Matty Target, who's been actually fantastic the last couple of games. But I think they're on about Lucadini here. If you think I'm wrong, you've got the comments in there as well. Good shout. Could be Dele Alli as well. Very good shout as well. Yeah, could be. Right, yeah, could be. You've made me think twice there, Andy. So yeah, it might be expensive, but it might be possible to incorporate a listed buildings behind the east stand into an extension of that side of the ground. That's the ideal solution. Yeah, that'll be a lot of work with the council, wouldn't it, to get that. And if we move further down here as well, the sporting director, of course, we're going back to this, will be a key here, says Miadad, the person that drives the football operation, who creates the structure. It's like building a house. If you don't have the right foundations, it'll fall down. That's why the sporting director role is so important. It's building a very strong academy that goes right across all the verticals into the first team. We were accused of not knowing what we were doing. Do you remember these articles? Knowing the people like on the radio and so on? We were accused of not knowing what we were doing. We had to get someone in before January because it's all about the transfer window, which they did through Nick Hammond, if you remember. But for us, it wasn't. It's not about 1 year. It's about 5 years. It's about 10 years. We need to bring in the right person to make the right decisions. And they go on and talk about, like the new CEO, Miadad, said that they need to have a vision about making a successful, sustainable business. Driving commercial revenues means more money, and that means the club can invest more into its infrastructure, into its squad, and everything else. They're all simple things, but when you put them in place, it will create an incredible output. And there's quite a bit about what they're talking about here. And I'll highlight it again. And if we just scroll down a little bit, we don't just want a CEO that has been in another Premier club. It's going to say, okay, this is what you're going to do, and this is what we'll continue to do. Stavely said, we want someone who is going to be ready to challenge the status quo, and look at the business from different angles. We think the Premier League will change. It has to. It has done an incredible job in terms of attracting sponsorship, but we're moving into a new digital area of NFTs, and different commerces, which the club's massive opportunities for revenue for go and see. And then go on to say all has to be well and thought through. We do not want our club selling products to fans that aren't suitable. We have to really think about our fans, what they want, and they also have to be value for money. We want a CEO who can help us grow and put Newcastle on the global map. That doesn't mean Miadad and I will step back, because we won't. We just have to have more people to do the work. So obviously they're talking about, at the minute, their hands are a little bit tied because they're doing predominantly a lot of the work. So they want someone to come in to help them take the pressure off the top and bottom of the club. And Amanda Stavely and Miadad will still be there, still working. But the CEO, effectively the sporting director, will run the operations from the business and academy all the way up to the first team as well. So we'll crack on, because there is still a little bit to get through, as you can see. We see ourselves continuing the job that we're doing. Once the CEO comes in, we'll do as much work as we're doing now, but we think that will help us achieve our objectives faster. So we are entwined. We want the club to grow. We'll bring in a CEO and we'll work with that person on a daily basis. Oh God, yes, we'll carry on. We've interviewed everybody on the basis that we're here. So that's the key message, that CEO comes in, but Stavely and Miadad will be there working with them every single day. Newcastle is at a very important stage in its history. And if we take a lot of the foot off the gas now, it's not going to help the club fulfill its ambition. We want to get in the way. We've got to let people do the jobs and support them, but we can do more work on the community side, investing in Newcastle, investing in the academy, the foundation. Our frustration at the moment is that there aren't enough hours in the day. And Miadad goes on to say there's a lot to do. There's a lot of people that we need to hire, so there's going to be more staff coming in. There is so much Stavely. I want to do everything now this year, but we can't. It's like everything. It just takes time as well. So we'll have a look at what you're saying in the comments, and then we'll move on to the negativity around when obviously the Saudis coming in and stuff and what they say as well. St. James's Park is an atmosphere and power that many teams will kill for. Recently, St. James's Park has been brilliant the last 3 or 4 games. Unreal. Mike's obviously echoing that as well. Johnny's gone on to say Dan Ashworth is so vital to the future of the team. His vision and the owner's financially power could be immense. Yeah. And John, still staying on the stadium topic, expanding the Gallagher would bring the capacity up to 60,000. Longer term, will that be enough? It's brilliant that we're having these debates. Imaginable 5 months ago. Oh yeah, Johnny, I think it's great that you have the debate about the stadium, but they both come out and say it's not happening. The new stadium's just not happening. So we can crush that rumour down They do want to look at expanding the stadium. It's more revenue, of course, but I mean, even if you look across the Premier League now, Chelsea don't have a huge capacity. Liverpool's only slightly more than us. Arsenal are only about 8,000 more than us. So it's not massive amounts. I know we haven't expanded since, 2002, is it? Since the refurbished St. James Park was done. I might be a year off or so. Jim's gone out to say, I have said that since day one. How would emulate Sir Alex? Everything he's done so far has been reinforced. I was on the overlap and I said, someone like an Eddie Howe would be fantastic with Newcastle for right now. So Manchester City are only for 55,000, and Manchester City struggle to fill their stadiums. Psst. I'll just get my cat at his blimmin' scratching the little shit. Move! Little cat. So we'll move on to the next. Sorry if I've deafened you there. Moving on to the next further down on the article as well. We're shocked about the negative news or reading things. It's not something we've concerned ourselves, says my dad. We've concerned ourselves with having the right partners who would deliver what we needed to take Newcastle from where it is today and where it should be. We've been working with the PIF for a number of years now. We're privileged and proud to be working with them. We couldn't have done it with Eddie and the partner, Stevie says. And we've said that so many times. And obviously that's because they're being criticised for, the PCP Capitals have been criticised for lending money to get their own part of their deal done because they didn't allegedly have enough money. So they've took out a loan allegedly to get Newcastle bought for their percent as well. And then Mia Dad's gone on to say about Saudi Arabia and the country and so on, and the whole of Saudi have become fans of Newcastle, says Mia Dad. It's a young population focused on sports and getting kids out and playing on football and golf. That's why it kind of fitted into PIF's strategy as well. They're really smart investors. Yasser, the chairman, has been to visit the club, 4 times now, meeting players and Eddie and wanting to know what's going on and how he can help and giving us autonomy to do the work that we need to. It's been incredible to have that support. Likewise with Jamie Rubin as well. So even Manchester City's owners, I think Mansour, I think he's only been over once or twice, hasn't he? Whereas Yasser's been over 4 times now. And, Stevie just goes on to talk about simple stuff like, do you know what the most important thing we've done is? Stevie asks, not that we did in the transfer window, but announcing that we've become a living wage employer because that affects people who are the lowest paid in the company. That's great. We've seen that come out a few weeks ago. Like you people who it's not the glamorous jobs, like your catering work and your cleaning jobs and sweeping up, and it's not the most glamorous jobs, but it's fantastic for them that they're getting it's probably a small pay rise, to be honest, maybe £1 or £2 an hour, but that might make a massive difference over a month. So it could be 40, 80 quid extra on the back pocket. And it's not, and they've gone on to say about that, it's not because they were told by the PIF. And Christ knows, she says, Amanda, everyone who knows me, that this is in my DNA to fight for things that are right for our staff, which is absolutely brilliant. And this is more about the ownership. PIF own 80% of this asset. They have huge ambitions, not just for the club, but in terms of working with the community, investing in the city. That's massive. That is massive. They want to invest in the city as well. My dad says the similarities could be with Manchester City, what Sheikh Mansour has done there, and has been fantastic. We want to take the best of other clubs and apply it in Newcastle. So I don't think there's nothing wrong with pinching ideas from other clubs and making it better. Hell no. That happens in any walk of day of life. It happens on YouTube. People watch other YouTube channels and pinch their ideas. It happens when your own workplace, best ideas, best practices. That's why you have meetings and plans and structures and so on. So I think it's fantastic. We'll move on, Ted. We said that we're not what you think we are, and I think other clubs are getting to know that now. We want to be transparent about how we do business. We have come out of it with a set of rules, which I think will be very compelling and we can work with. I'm very pleased that we have, because I've always known that we will be able to show a fair market value for our sponsorship rights. We're getting offers for sponsorship that are probably outbidding potential Saudi sponsors. That's big, isn't it? They're getting sponsorship deals that have got nothing to do with Saudi Arabia, because obviously that was a big kickoff of the Premier League, if you remember. Oh, no, you can't have your own sub-companies sponsoring you, and clubs from Saudi will put a ban on you or what have you. Absolutely mental. Someone to sum up what the training ground, the stadium crack is to save me rewatching. Just look at the article. There's a link in the description if you don't want to see this. The better not move from St. James's Park. My granddad's ashes are there. Sam, there's no plans to. So that's good. No, it's two different people. Our CEO is not the same as a sporting director, says Drew. Yes, sorry. Yeah, you're all right. So they want the right people to come in, but they may be referring that to as one person potentially as well. Could you not, Jonathan goes, could you not move the pitch further away from the East Stand and cut it into the Milburn? You could rotate, couldn't you? That's the pitch, couldn't you? You could do that way again. It'll be a lot of money, but it's and again something that the club could look at. But I think our fan base is bigger than Manchester City's. It's a lot bigger, absolutely a lot bigger. No cat abuse. It's only shopping that's closed, only expensive furniture. It's because she's trying to get upstairs, Chris. That's why, and I won't allow her. So she's trying to scratch me blooming carpet, little shit. Anyways, enough of me cat problems. We'll crack on. We've got a little bit more of crack through. The plan was always to say what the best deal for the club is, says Mia Dad. That's something that's going to take time. There's nothing specific telling us that it has to be Saudi. We wanted to do it the right way. Did we plan and bring a dodgy deal in for 100 million? No, not at all. And since the takeover, the consortium have had 2 funding rounds, putting 2 sets of money into club, Amanda says. There was an immediate requirement for cash from day one for working with capital and then for the transfer window. What's important isn't the price we paid Mike. What matters is that the investment into the club. And this is interesting because there's a court case happening that Mike Ashley wants to sue Staveley. On Ashley's sponsorships, we're genuinely disappointed and we will contest it vigorously. We have thought we had a good relationship with Mike. To his credit, he pushed very hard to get this deal done. We couldn't have done it without him. He's always said he wanted to sell the club to the right people, and he has sold the club to the right people. We've never said anything negative about him. I'm saddened, says Staveley. It's a real shame because I like him a lot, and I'm proud of what we did. So obviously that's because the flannels and the Sports RX signs were taken down, and Ashley wants to try and sue, what have you. The £10 million loan accused of the confusion. Ashley's case claims that PCP and the first dependent, Staveley, were also unable to meet the advisory, legal, and other cost of commissions associated with PCP's participation and the sales and purchase agreement. Therefore, in order for a whole transaction to able to proceed, the claimant agreed to lend the first defendant the funds required to pay PCP's bill. So again, that's what Ashley's saying. That's basically Staveley's had to borrow money to get the deal done. So why did they even need Ashley's money? As the defence says, we incurred costs that were for the benefit of the whole consortium, Amanda says. Mike wanted very much a deal done very quickly, and that meant we made a decision, which meant he could close quickly. We took the burden on. Ashley's case goes on to say the Rubin brothers agreed to lend 30.5 million to Canterville Limited, a company owned by the first defendant, aka Amanda Staveley. In relation to Staveley's legal defence, the BBC subsequently report that Amanda Staveley said in the High Court that documentaries that she borrowed 30.5 million to help her fund 10% of the stake in the club, offered an opportunity by the Athletic to what they said about these claims. Mia Dad has said that they're not going to get into the specifics because the commercial and legal sensitivities, but they will provide the Athletic with a statement correcting the record. And the statement goes on to say that PCP investments in Newcastle United involved incorporated financing and is a common transaction of its nature. However, PCP's investment in the club was not financed by any personal loan or liability occurred by Amanda Staveley. So tit for tat for going on. And then the last bit here today is that we're constantly asking, what can we do? Says Amanda, we've told every individual player that they have access to us because there's no director of football. So Eddie can focus on coaching and we can focus on nurturing. I found that the Saudi trip really was rewarding in that respect. I got so much one-on-one with him and the players, and they'll be really getting to know him. Well, getting to know the owners as well. So there's a lot of digest in that article, but probably the key point is that I'm very excited that they're hungry. It seems like they very, very much care. When me and Johnny met me, Dad, maybe at the women's game, and he was fine taking photos, and he's put his thumb up because he was literally just behind us because we were in the press box, and he was very, 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 very happy is probably the word to describe it, to take photos and have a little bit of interaction, a little bit of a chit chat as well, which is great. And I'm excited about what the plans they've got. I'm happy that St. James's Park is going to stay where it is. I'm delighted about that. New training ground on its way. NUFC women are going to become professional, which is brilliant. and they're going to try and get them playing at St James's Park, which is what we've always wanted as a channel. Hopefully that goes into the WSL to get a team into there, because it'll be great to have a professional women's side, because they're flying at the minute, and there's loads to talk about the players back in Eddie Howe. It's great. It's a great time to be a Newcastle fan, assuming we stay up, which I am a lot more optimistic that we will do. Of course, I might be daft saying that because we could get defeated by Brentford today. But it's great, and we'll wrap up with some of the stuff that you're saying. Kurt Zuma incoming? No, look, I'm not violent to cats, poor little things. John has gone on to say, astonishing that the governing body would want to stifle investment in its member club, probably anti-competitive, and it was only an issue after our takeover. Why not City or Chelsea? Well, I mean, you look at what's happening with Russia, and Abramovich's links to Russia as well. So, you know, the guns tit for tat, I think. Damon's got to say, in my opinion, the training ground project is much bigger than the stadium. This would give the club a massive lift, especially if it's a training village. That includes the academies, the ladies, the under-18s, and younger kids as well, so on and so on. However, the lad says, Johnny, they would build a new stadium. They're not building a new stadium, though. They don't want to. Times are changing, says Gary. Yeah, it is fantastic. And it's a dream to be a Toon fan after 15 years of playing with Mike Ashley as well. Hopefully that you've got a better understanding. Apologies, it's 36 minutes long, and I didn't expect it to. I've hit the wrong banner. That's how tired I am. You can smash the like. Try to break that down as much as possible for you. Hopefully you've got a better understanding. If you haven't seen the article, because like I say, it's a fantastic read, so have a look. They've got a great offer on the Athletic as well. And remember to download the One Football app to keep you up to date if you're out and about today. But that is it. That is a wrap up of breaking down the article. Fantastic news, positive video, which is what we like to do, because our views are actually better as a YouTube channel when there's positive news. Strangely enough, other YouTube channels don't, but ours is. So it's great. It's positive news. And hopefully when we rejoin us in a couple of hours' time for the watch along and the score and the players and fan reaction, the last word later on, and Adam's video. I think Johnny might be doing one as well. Hopefully it's all positive later on tonight. But smash that like, everyone. See you later. Ta-da.